You think you could downsize into a 34-foot tiny home? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you're new here, my name is Drew, and today we're taking a look at this 34-foot tiny home, and I want to know if you think you could live in this. By the end of the video, let me know in the comments, but really quick, let me show you what's on the outside before we take a look at the inside. Here's a look at the outside of the home, and there's a couple things I want to point out. First, starting with the construction. As we come up to the side of the home, you'll notice the siding. So what this is it's called LP Smart siding. Many of you, if you've seen my last video, you're going to know that this is different from hardy board, which is traditionally what you'll see on houses. Hardy board is a concrete-based material. This is a wood fiber-based material. So what that means is this is going to breathe a lot better in different temperatures and climates, and it's going to be able to flex a little bit more. Hardy board, because it's a concrete-based, will not flex very well. So that's the benefit of having LP Smart siding. Coming around to the front of the home, you're going to have your heat pump. So you're going to see inside, this house runs off of a mini split heat and cooling system, and that's the heat pump for it. To the right here, this is where you're going to be able to put your propane cans. Normally, once you have this house situated, you're going to be hooking up to much larger propane cans, but you're going to be able to put 30 pounds right there on either side. Moving around to the side of the home, we have our freshwater connection up top here, and down below is the city water connection. Further to our right is 110-volt outlets, and here is the internals of the Truma hot water on demand unit. So this has hot water on demand, which is super nice in a tiny home. Next to the hot water on demand is going to be your furnace exhaust outlet. Further down towards the center of the tiny home, you're going to have three 7,000-pound axles, giving you a total GVWR of 21,000 pounds. At the back of the home down here is going to be your sewer outlet connections. And as you can see, they put in this little wheelie bar down there. I don't know if you can see it on camera. I'll get a little closer here. And that's there so that if you do end up hitting a bump in the road, or you go over some sort of speed bump or something, that's going to hit the ground and it's not going to take out your sewer connections. Now that we're back here and we can see this branding on the side, this home is built by Mint Tiny House Company, and they are located out of Delta, BC here in Canada. So if you're looking for more information and you want to see what they build, how they build them, and how much they cost, you can plug in that link right there and take a look. At the very back of the home, you're going to have your plug-in for your 50 amp power source, which I have plugged in here so we can turn the lights on inside. It's also prepped for satellite. Here's a look at the back of the home. As you can see, it's got plenty of windows, letting in lots of natural light. One thing to mention is every window on the home is dual pane. In addition to that, the insulation used in these homes is actually a spray foam insulation, giving it, I think it's somewhere around R28 of an insulation value. So these homes are really good for, even up here for our Canadian winters, you're gonna be warm. And coming around to this side, again, giving you a view of the broad side of the home as we approach the front door. And right next to the front door, again, you're gonna have this little plaque that shows you it's built by Mint Tiny House Company and where they're located, and again, their address down below. And then you have a couple more 110-volt style plugs right there. Now let's take a look in the inside. Welcome to the inside of the Mint Tiny Home. One thing I didn't mention outside is that this home in total length from end to end is 34 feet. So let's take a look. One of the first thing I noticed right off the bat about stepping inside this home is the large glass door they've put in. And what that does is it just adds to the amount of natural light that the other windows are bringing in. So it creates a really nice, bright, open space. But I have mixed feelings about it. It's nice to have a door that brings in lots of natural light, but it would also be nice to be able to put some sort of blind in it so that you could kind of add to the privacy of your home. So that's one thing I'd probably change. Right next to the door, you're gonna have your tank readout. So this home does have a freshwater holding tank, a gray water holding tank, and a black water holding tank. So it's just like an RV, and this is gonna be where you're able to monitor how full your tanks are. Below your tank monitoring panel, you're gonna have a couple things here. So down below, these are gonna be your light switches, of course. Here is for your forced air propane furnace, and that's how you're gonna control the temperature. This remote control is gonna be for your mini split heating and cooling system, which I'll show you here is right above the window. So that works off of your 50 amp shore power, and that will do both air conditioning for the whole home and an electric heat source. So you'll have two heat sources in here. One is gonna be that guy right there, and then the other is gonna be forced air, which comes out of these little outlets down below. Now, as you can see, this is gonna be the very front of the home, and what they've done with this space is created a really large U-shaped dinette, and this tabletop is actually on a telescopic type system here. So what'll happen is if you do have company over and you need a third bed space, this is gonna be able to drop down and it's gonna sit on this grooved edge, and then you're going to be able to put these cushions in place of the tabletop, and that's going to make a really large bed space. I did post a video on TikTok of this home, and if you haven't seen it yet, you can check it out right here. But I did get a lot of mixed reviews on this setup right here. One thing people said was they didn't really like the stripes, which, I mean, that's just a matter of opinion. But the other thing was people would have rathered a little bit more freedom to customize the space instead of having it just a fixed dinette. But again, it's a matter of opinion. But let me know down in the comments what you think about this U-shaped dinette. One thing I really love about the front end of the home is the fact that they put in these 3 really large windows and that little guy up top. And what that does is bring in tons of natural light. And of course, if you follow the tiny house movement, you know that the more natural light you have coming inside the home, the larger and brighter it's going to feel. So I love that they did that. One thing you'll notice in terms of styling is they put in this really dark colored paneling up top on the ceiling, and they've done that with the table and all the window casings, and pretty much every accent piece, including the floor, is a dark colored brown. That's kind of a preference point. I don't mind it. I do like the white and gray contrast look better, but this also looks pretty good. Let me know in the comments what you think about the white and the dark contrast on the ceiling. Another important aspect is they did add blinds, and they are blackout blinds on all of these windows as well. Moving forward in the home to our left, they've put in a nice LED TV and a little mantle below it. And then of course you have a 40-inch Furrion electric fireplace, which does give off heat. I believe it's around 5,000 BTUs. The TV does come with a swing out bracket as well. So if you want to point that at the dining room so you can watch football from your dinner spot, you can do that as well. And now directly behind us, we're gonna have the kitchen space off to our left here, and of course the loft space up here. But first, let's take a look at the kitchen. Now for these kitchens, I like to rate them off of 2 different criteria. One is gonna be storage space and how much you get and whether or not it's enough. And the second is prep space and counter space, and again, how much you have and whether or not that's enough. So let's take a look at those things. The counter is built from a butcher block style veneer, and what you see is pretty much what you get. So to the left of the counter, you get some space here. To the right of it, a little bit more, and this is where you're gonna do probably the bulk of your prepping. And then to the right of the stovetop, a little bit more again. And then you do have plugins right there, and next to the sink on that corner as well. So you could still put in your coffee maker or toaster right there, use this for prep space, and use this for your dirty dishes into the sink. Now keep in mind, you're not gonna have a family of 10 people in here, so if it's just you and another person or maybe a couple kids, that's likely gonna be enough storage space, but obviously that's subjective in who you are and what you need. Also, if you did need more prep space than this, you do have the dinette tabletop. So if you had to utilize that space, you could. Remember, this is a tiny home, so you have to be creative with the space you're given. Overall, given that this is a 34-foot tiny home and the space they've provided for the kitchen, I would say this is a solid 7 out of 10 for the prep space. Now let's take a look at the storage space. So down here to the left of the sink, you have 3 shelves which go to the very back against the wall. So you do have pretty good depth there for lots of storage space. Underneath the sink is typical of what you would find, plenty of space for cleaning supplies or anything of that nature. To the right of the sink, you have 3 different drawers, and they slide out a pretty good ways. This one's just full of the manuals and remotes needed for the home. Second drawer is a little bit deeper and still slides out the same length. And then the third one is the deepest of all, and again slides out to the same length. Underneath the oven, you have your very typical baking sheet drawer that again slides out the full way. And again, at the very end, you have 3 more shelves that go all the way to the back wall. Then above the counter, you have cabinet space here, a little bit above the rain shed, and then one more similar to the one on the left. Back against this wall, up top above the fridge, there's a little bit of storage space there. Next to the fridge, you have some cabinet space, little cubby hole above here, and then a spot to hang coats. Up in this corner here, you'll notice you have 2 switches, and both of those are for your 12-volt heating tank pads. So you have one for your fresh and one for your waste. What I would likely do with this storage here is put in shelving of some sort along the bottom, just so there's not a whole lot of dead space there, and that would serve as a really good place for more groceries or pantry items in that space. The one to the right is again very similar. You have the little cubby space here, and then down below, again, lots of dead space, but I would probably put shelving in there. Another cool feature they've added is the first 3 steps up to the loft all have a little bit of storage space underneath. I think the second one has the most. It actually goes a pretty good ways back there. And then third one a little storage space in there as well. So that's kind of cool. The first 3 steps all have storage in them. For storage space, that's going to be everything you've got here. One thing that is nice about this tiny home is that all the walls are 2x4 framed walls. So what that means is if you find space in here where you'd like extra shelving, like maybe above the TV, you can actually do that. The walls are a structural point in the tiny home, so you can mount extra cabinets or shelving if you really need to. But in terms of what we have already here, in my opinion, this is going to be enough for what I need. And again, I would probably give this a solid 7 out of 10 for storage as well. Before we move on, I want to highlight a couple things in the kitchen as well. One of them being this ceramic farmhouse style sink, which is nice and big and looks really aesthetic in this space. Above it, you get a nice window, which opens and lets the breeze in, and it does have the blinds above it as well. Further to the right, you have the 3-burner propane gas cooktop, as well as the gas oven below it. And above the cooktop, you also have the overhead fan by Furrion. Against the opposite wall, they did give you an RV style fridge and freezer, so that's a relatively good amount of space. And then below it, plenty of space in there to fit everything you need. Oh, and one thing I forgot was the storage below the fridge, so that's bonus storage. That's gonna be it for the kitchen space. Let me know in the comments if you think that's enough kitchen space or if there's anything you'd change. But now let's move forward into the back of the tiny home. Past the kitchen space and through this door, which does have a little pocket door to close it off, is the bathroom. And in here, you get your typical RV foot flush toilet. Next to the toilet is your vanity, and with this, you're gonna have 2 drawers, and they've even sectioned it off into 3 different spots for storage. And the bottom one is the same as the top one. Cool. Oh, these are removable too. I didn't even know that. Very nice. On the opposite wall, this is the really great feature of the tiny home, is they've installed a stackable washer and dryer, and it's a full unit made by Whirlpool, so you're not cheaping out with the smaller 2-in-1 combo unit. This is going to be your full size that you would find in a home, and that is super important to have in your tiny home. Right next to the laundry is this huge enclosed glass shower, and what's nice about this is it's a full 1-piece fiberglass, and it's got a little bench in the corner. Past the home's bathroom, we will arrive in the very back of the home, and this is what's going to be the rear bedroom or an office space, depending on who you are and what you want. But in here, they put in, again, lots of windows, letting in lots of light. And this is an emergency exit window, so if you needed to get out in a scramble, either of these windows is big enough to get out. All the windows also have blinds on them as well, and then they've installed these cool little LED lights on either side of this window here. If you're wondering what this box is in the corner, Mint provides you with a little quick start kit, which is going to include pretty much everything that's necessary with the tiny home. So you'll have your 50 amp power cord, which I'm using right now to power the home, and then you'll have your sewer hose kit, water connection, pretty much everything you need to hit the ground running when you purchase one of these tiny homes. Turning around in the rear bedroom, you do have this little barn door, which I think is really cool that they included that. You also have an RV TV in the corner. One thing you'll notice is that there isn't actually any storage space in this room, and that's why I said this could be an office or a main floor bedroom, but again, you could add shelving up there because that is a structural wall. And then same thing over here, if you needed to add shelving or cabinets above and remove that TV maybe, you can add that to this space. And last but not least, at the front of the home and up these stairs, we have the loft. So let's go check that out. As we climb these stairs, you're gonna notice right on the wall here is gonna be this little dial. And what this is, and I've mentioned this in my previous videos, but this is a fresh air inlet. So you open it by turning it counterclockwise, and that's gonna let any fresh air from outside come into the home. That way you keep good air circulation inside your tiny home. As you get to the top of the stairs, you're gonna have your light switch off to the right here, and you also get this double mattress. So the space obviously isn't very big in here, but it doesn't need to be. This is purely designed for sleeping. So you can fit, like I said, this double mattress, or you could probably fit a queen size mattress. But keep in mind, if you're bringing up a mattress, you have to bring it up through here or over top here. So whatever's gonna fit up there is what you're gonna be able to put down here. And now that we're looking in this direction, you can see that they've added this shelf space along either side of this TV, and I've had mixed feelings about the TVs in the tiny homes. It seems the general consensus is most people would remove that TV and put in storage rather than having a TV. But again, that's something that you can customize. If you don't want it there, you can pull it out and you can use that space for storage. For those of you who want to see what kind of headspace you have in here, so I'm sitting up fairly tall, and I still have headroom even off to the side where the roof or the ceiling starts to slant down. Obviously in the center of the room, you're gonna have way more headspace. So you can still sit up here, read a book, hang out, look out the window, and be comfortable enough without banging your head on the ceiling, which is pretty important. And when you finally roll out of bed in the morning from your loft, this is the view you get from the rest of the tiny home. So you got the kitchen down there, dinette at the back of the home, and then you can see the pitched roof from this angle, and then you also have this cool little beam across there that gives it a nice aesthetic. But overall, this is a pretty sweet space, and I think I could probably live here. That's it for me today, guys. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out big time. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. And once again, if you're someone who's looking for more information on these tiny homes, I've added Mint's website to the description below where you can check them out. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.